Hey,
Morning.
hello everyone. Good morning. Good morning, Kat.
Hiya.
Hello everyone at home. Feel free to say hello wherever you are. Oh, there goes Kat. Kat on the chat. And today we have the lovely Claire in for another sort of joining us. And who knows, maybe she'll be running the whole class sometime soon. So we've got Liz, South Norfolk, Kim, lovely to see you too. And Jane and Suzanne. And who's next? It's always fun. It's always fun kind of seeing who's going to come on and say hello.
And from all over the UK. That's pretty cool,
Yeah.
isn't it?
So it's great to see you all joining in. We haven't got another element coming up in the next 4 weeks. But what we thought we'd do was start looking into more of sort of patterns that can come up in us and ways that you can start to kind of see how to be more aware of it. I mean, if you want, you could even call it more diagnose yourself. And so today we're going to focus on two of the most obvious things. And one of them we tend to call stagnation, and the other one we tend to call deficiency. And basically, stagnation is being really stuck, feeling a bit obstructed. Often it comes with pain or fullness. And deficiency, it kind of speaks for itself. You're just feeling a bit tired and lacking. And so we'll go into all of those. Here we go. We've got more people. There's Chris and Justin from Tenerife, lovely. And Rosa from Lille in France, excellent. More of the international contingency coming through. It's lovely to see you too.
And Gillian and Teresa.
Okay, so let's get a couple of polls and just see where you are all at. So first of all, how are you coping at the moment? Are you well? Okay, kind of neutral, bit stressed or very stressed? Just to kind of see where we're all at. If I was on here at the moment and I was clicking buttons, I'd probably say I'm kind of neutral.
Yeah.
Which
is the
actually
most common one today.
The predominant one today so far. Okay.
It's good to see no one's very stressed.
Yeah, that's nice. 50% neutral, 50% either, yeah, I'm okay, or I'm a bit stressed. So then, let me just get another one.
It's at the top, I think.
Oh no, we'll go through some scans and then we'll go into some more specific polls about what's coming up for you and what you want to work on. That's what we'll do. Okay. Right.
Yeah.
Would you like to? You can do scans sitting down. I'm going to do them standing up. So you're welcome to come join me standing up if you want, Claire. So getting yourself into a comfortable position. And if you're standing, then feet hip to shoulder width apart. And you can just like rock on your feet a little bit until you kind of feel like, okay, I'm coming into my center a bit. And you might want to close your eyes. And when you're ready, hang on a second. Whenever I start to align, it always gets my digestive system going. So everyone knows that now, I'm sure. Bring your attention to the top of your head. And just with your attention, scanning down around your head, notice with your awareness, what's it like? Top of your head, front of the head, sides of the head, back of the head. Through the face, your sense organs in the face. Jaw muscles, they often hold tension. Is your awareness just being caught and noticing things, anything that's really obvious in particular? Through the neck, how's the back of the neck, sides of the neck, front and throat? And now across the shoulders, scan out across the shoulders. Classic place for people to feel lots of different kinds of things. all the way to the shoulder joint and down through the arms. Concentrate just on the arms, the upper arm, to the elbow, through the forearm, and the more intricate wrists and hands and fingers. Maybe give them a wiggle just to check. Oh yeah, there they are. Okay, so we've got head, neck, shoulders, arms. Now let's scan through the upper body. You've got the chest and the upper back, front, sides, inside, back, and your rib cage with all the organs, inside and outside. And then your abdomen, scanning through, just what's it like? Are you noticing anything anywhere? Front, sides, back. Pelvis, your pelvic girdle, and your hip joints. And down through the hips, the thighs, longest bone in the body, nice long muscles, to the knee joints, through the lower leg, to the ankle, and now the intricate feet standing stable on the ground. And if you noticed a couple of places where you were catching in your awareness, just note them in the back of your mind and get a sense of the whole body for a moment. And just check in. Is there a sense of more of a quality of blockage that's catching your attention? More of a sense of weakness somewhere? Or is it more cold or more hot? What are you noticing in those areas that are catching your attention? What's the most noticeable? Blockage or weakness? Coldness or heat? Okay, and when you're ready, come back into the room with your eyes, and we're gonna go into a poll to find out. What did you find, Claire? Anything in particular?
Yeah, although I'm quite tired, I noticed that when I tuned into the whole of my body, it felt there was stagnation there, like things want to move. And in fact, what I've noticed in my life is that if I rest recently, I just feel more like, and actually when I've like cycled into the city or things like that, I just feel like much better. So for me, that's a good sign.
Okay, so a bit sort of stuck in some way, but better for movement.
Yeah.
Classic sign of stagnation.
There we go.
Yeah. So we've got lots of people putting more and more answers in. I definitely had some blockness up the top and close to a little bit of heat up in the head. And I suppose if I wanted to go into further detail, I could say a little bit more weakness down at the bottom of the body. And what we've got here is most of the people saying some kind of blocked or obstructed. There's one person who's saying well and balanced. That's good to hear that someone's out there feeling it. And then we're kind of fairly even in terms of weak or tired and hot or agitated, and also a little bit there's cold and frozen. So if there's any more people who want to put in any answers, please feel free to. And yes, Kim, all of the above. Actually, that can happen. That really can happen. And we tend to have like a range of lots of those things. We're kind of trying to get in at the sense of what's the most obvious one, like a sense of cold, a sense of heat. It can be a localized thing as well as a general thing. Or is it more a sense of blockage or more a sense of sort of weakness and tiredness? And again, could be a localized thing, could be a general thing. And yeah, in terms of all of the above, it makes the point of the week we're going to go into really good. Jane says, I've been feeling very tired too. Lots of sleep and meditation time needed. But what I noticed in the scan was the same as me. Back of the neck and the head feeling a bit stiff and flat. There we go. Okay, well, hopefully point of the week that we're going to play with today and some of the work we're going to do will be fantastic. Okay, let's just see if that poll has changed at all. So the majority blocked and obstructed, and there's a little bit of the weak or tired. Fantastic. Thank you very much, everyone. Well, instead of going into the 3 burners too much, instead of doing a whole scan for that and then focusing the session just on that, how about we just get started doing a little bit of loosening up? Because I think most people need a little bit of loosening. There's like blockage and stagnation. So, okay. So Chris is saying dust in the atmosphere here. So lungs too, please. Yeah. Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, and Jane, yes, sorry to, oh no, sorry, not Jane. Kim, sorry to hear that you've caught a bug. So yeah, take it easy. Yeah. You probably don't want to be moving too much.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing. If we're, with your recognition of where you're at, if we're starting to do something where it's more movement oriented, but you're feeling a bit weaker and more tired, take it easy. Find a nourishing way of doing it. Or if we're doing something more nourishing, see if it needs to be brought in a way that helps you to move so that you're not too still, for those who are more stagnant. Claire, would you like to start us off with some shaking and loosening?
Yeah, all right then. So I'm going to do the standing up. If you're really, really tired, then obviously you can stay sitting down. So I mean, shaking's just so good anyway for many things. And yeah, if you're feeling really weak and tired, you can still shake and move, but maybe in a more sort of flowy way or less vigorous. So if you just if you close your eyes and you stand up, maybe roll your shoulders back a bit so they're sitting on top of your hips. And just, I invite you to sort of just like feel into your body. You can move a little bit, you might want to sway. Some of us have a natural thing that our body likes to do. You know, like when you get on the dance floor, there's sort of a thing that your body does. And just take maybe 5 deep breaths into your belly. That's great. And yeah, so maybe when you, so if you open your eyes, when you breathing, you might have noticed areas that were really stuck. For me, it was my shoulder, my left shoulder. So if you start to sort of shake out, have a little shake and notice where you really, really need to shake. Doesn't it feel good to get your body moving? You might want to really go for it. If you're feeling really stagnant, that's good. Have a real shake out.
I always feel like if you can, sometimes noise is a really good thing as well.
Yeah. Because the noise of winter and water is groaning, so you might want to have a big groan. And just remember, if you need to take it gently, that's fine, just so that you can do gentle shakes. A little bit more shaking, then we'll stop. You might want to jump a little bit, get off the floor. That's great. So yeah, I hope everyone's feeling a bit more, I mean, I feel sort of refreshed, like I've hoovered dirty cobwebs out of a corner of a room, that sort of feeling. Yeah, that's nice, yeah. A little stretch out as well. And maybe if you just close your eyes again and stand still, roll your shoulders back. Just notice how you're feeling. Okay, that's
Nice.
great.
Yeah, definitely noticed the structure of my body felt more open,
Yeah,
and more free, and my breath was sinking in lower,
nice.
which was really nice.
Yeah.
Some lovely things people are sharing. Okay. Yeah, shaking cures 1,000 diseases is literally it's an old saying, but it's also the name of a certain Qi Gong movement, which maybe we'll do a little bit later.
And a Taylor Swift song, shake it out, shake it out.
Yes. And yeah, and of course the going on even more songs, more and more songs. So quite often what I get us to do is just check in with the point of the week early on, and then do a bit of energetic work to kind of get things moving, and then really get into the point later to kind of get more of an expansive feel. So I'm going to get us to do a bit of footwork today, and the point of the week is on the feet. I'm going to bring the chair around just so it's easier to show you. Sorry, Claire, we don't have 2 chairs.
That's fine.
But you'll just have to play with your feet on the floor. But just so you can see this, everyone, bring the chair around, you sure? So first of all, let's just get into lovely kidney 1. Kidney 1, if you all know. Down in that area of the foot, and it's 1/3 of the way down, just underneath. I mean, I had no idea I'd painted my feet orange, but on the screen it looks like I've painted my feet.
Yeah, it's like a giant baked bean.
It's just underneath the ball of the foot, and it's quite a large point. It's not as specific as on an acupuncture map. It actually it's a gate, so to speak. And so in that sense of it being kind of like a gate for earth and yin quality to come up, just really nicely open up that part of the foot.
Henna paddling is a new therapy at Shiatsu Centre. Yeah, that's right, Jane. Henna paddling.
Kidney 1 is just such a nice point to get into anyway.
So nice.
For anyone who had heat, and especially if it was more up, or sometimes stuff that's more upper body things, and they're feeling a little bit agitated in general, kidney 1 is a great point. And as I've said so many times, great to do in the evening because it encourages the yin. So you can work it in a way where it's like trying to sort of go, oh yeah, come back down to the feet.
And you'll know when you're on it, it's such a kind of strong connection.
Okay, and then give your feet a general kind of squeeze around and a roll around. Feet are meant to be as mobile as hands, essentially, but it's not always the case. We've been brought up generally keeping them in very tight shoes for most of our lives. So I encourage people to massage their feet and go barefoot when they can, when it's appropriate to. Okay, and then we're going to look at the top of the foot now, and you've got from the top of the foot running down towards the big toe, and it's on this side of the big toe, and you'll see where the 2 join together. You come up towards the bones, and I'll show you the point on the slide in a minute, but the point is where the 2 bones would meet from the big toe and the one next to it. So just explore finding that. I'll get the slides up so you can see a picture. And this is liver 3. Here we go. Ta-da! So you can see where the 2 toes come together, and then you come up to where the 2 bones meet, And if you come down just into the soft tissue a little bit from after where the two bones meet, you'll see Tai Chong, liver 3, meaning great rushing or great thoroughfare is another way of it being described. Yeah, we do need big toe cam. If you want, I'll try and get really close to the camera. see if we can do this. Okay. You see this, right? This.
That's the foot.
There's the big toe. That's where they meet. And if you keep following it up, you'll find where the bones meet. And then if you come down a little, just like barely even a finger's width, into the soft tissue. Now, this is sometimes quite tender. But just see what it feels like for you. I mean, it says all of this stuff. We're not going to go into it now, so I'll take the slide down. There you go. You want a big toe cam? Give the people what they want. But it has an almost immediate effect of being quite pleasing in a way.
Yeah.
And it can sometimes come with sensitivity, even soreness and tenderness, but it can often be that kind of like, oh, ow, but kind of good. You know, it's kind of doing something. It's a little bit sore, but it feels like it's doing something.
Yeah.
And sometimes there isn't tenderness at all. It's just like, oh, man, that's just quite nice.
It's painful, says Annette.
Yeah, there you go.
It is in like quite like almost most people, isn't it? Liver 3.
Yes, and that normally is because there is obstruction, stagnation, in the channel, and this is a major point for helping to shift that. Yeah. And as we will go to in a bit, it can do it in one of several ways. So now let's go to the other foot, kidney 1 again. Just really get in there. Oh, I'm really interested now. Is my foot the same color as the other one? Yeah, it is. Look, like baked beans on a white plate. So yeah, getting into kidney 1 again. And for those who are feeling obstruction and heat, then use this as a point of kind of like drawing back down and cooling back down. And those who are feeling tired, use this as a nourishing the yin back into the body. So you can use this both ways. So I'm doing the kind of nourishing the yin, bringing a bit more of a sense of sturdiness into my core, which feels very needed. Okay, and work around the foot in general. It's kind of like kneading dough or softening Play-Doh if you have kids.
Okay.
Okay, and then let's find liver 3 again. So you can find the big toe, find where the toes meet, come up to where the bones meet, and then come down again a little until you find that soft, tender place. And again, if you are someone who has stagnation, blockage, obstruction, especially like you were saying, Claire, it's like feel a bit tight, but then once I get moving, oh, it just feels so much easier. Then this is a point which it encourages the smoothness of the flow of our qi and our blood to help that ease up. But what's really amazing with this point is if you're also someone who can feel a bit deficient and a bit tired, this can start to help us go, this can really nourish that blood and ease that qi. So then we're kind of feeling a bit more like, oh, hell. Okay, we're going to come back to this point in a bit. So for now, I just wanted us to start us off with a little introduction. And let's notice how we're feeling just from working our feet a little. Yeah. Already a little bit different. Yeah. Just a bit of loosening and a little bit of squeezing the foot.
I've actually got the same effects of after shaking that I do after pressing liver 3.
Okay, interesting. What I would quite like us to do is try modeling a couple of sort of qualities in the body. And then we'll start sort of going through a couple of Qi Gong exercises, and then we'll come back to the feet and really get into some of the effects that might be happening on a slightly subtler level with the liver 3. How does that sound?
Sounds good.
Okay, so again, you're welcome to stay sitting or come standing up. I'm going to stand up. So I'd like you to imagine that you're, and it might be easier for some and more difficult for others, but that's fine. Just let's get a sense of our body being aligned to begin with. So have a sense of the head gently floating up as if it's connected to the heavens. Neck nice and spacious. Shoulders, you can roll them around a little, loosen them up. There we go. And allow the shoulders to relax as if they are floating away from the midline, but just sinking backwards slightly. Spine hanging down to a relaxed pelvis. Sacrum gently sinking towards the ground. Soft in the hips, soft and open in the knees, soft and open in the ankles. Feet sturdy on the ground. Okay, and with the shoulders pretty much above the hips, head pretty much in between the shoulders, above the center. Let's just take a couple of nice breaths into our belly, into our hara. Whatever way seems right for you. Okay, so from this nice, centered, aligned space, now get a sense of feeling a little bit more tight, and maybe you want to choose one particular area to begin with and tighten up that area. For me, it's really simple because it's already quite tight. I'm just going to go into it, kind of make it really obvious. Okay, and then get a sense of general tension around the body that's both got a physical tension, but also a little bit of a feeling like you're a bit stuck. I'm a bit stuck. Like that. Okay, and just notice what it feels like. Okay, that's enough. And let go, and shake it off, shake it off, shake it off. That's enough. We don't want to spend too long there. Right? Don't want to make it too obvious. We'll all end up having to start the whole session again.
But great to feel the contrast, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. We'll go into it in a minute. We'll share. I can't wait to hear from what you experience. Right? So again, we're going to come back to our alignment. Head floating, spine hanging, sacrum sinking. Shoulders floating away from the midline, hips relaxed, knees open, ankles open. Settled in the hara. Okay. And then I'd like you to just get into a sense of your kind of tiredness. Do you find that you go into a tiredness where your energy comes up and you become a bit unbalanced? Do you find you go into an energy of tiredness where you go sink down and feel heavy? Or do you just go inwards and there's just feeling of lack in general? Is it that sort of lack and you're feeling a bit sort of not all there? It's not completely clear. So find your tiredness and notice where that goes. And with that, just imagine it being a little bit like your mind is unclear and a bit tired, and your body just feels a bit dry. Okay. That's enough of that for now. Whoa, shake it out. Okay. That was way too easy for me to get into. And let's come back to just being aligned one more time. Head floating towards the heavens. Neck nice and open, spine hanging down. Sacrum heavy, sinking towards the ground with open hips, open knees, open ankles, feet on the ground. Shoulders relaxed, back and away from the midline. Settle into the hara. And in this space, getting a sense of above and below you, whereabouts do you need to center? Do you need to draw down a little bit just to feel a bit more centered? Do you need to lift up a little bit to feel a bit more centered? Find your sense of center. And then as you take a couple of breaths in, feel nourished and free in your movement around the body. So just take a couple of breaths. Maybe give an audible sigh or a afterwards. Feel nourished and free. Maybe one more of those. It's interesting how using a sound with a quality behind it can have so much effect. Okay. So let's have a moment of sharing. Just, I'm really interested for you to explore and let us know what it was like for you going into this. And then we'll go into some more exercises to move the Qi and the blood. And then we'll go into the point again. So we've got, it's painful from Annette. Yeah. And Jane said, makes it easy to find, which is useful when we're going into that point. So when we get down to here, yes, a sigh of relief was my body's reply. Kim says, I'm not all there, according to my therapist.
Kidding, just kidding.
So, and you're finding a nice release here now. That's lovely. So anyone wants to share anything from that? Claire, anything you found?
Yeah, thanks, Basti. Firstly, so good to just go into the exercise. I feel much calmer. And what was I going to say? Yes, centre very much was up here, so it's great to come back.
Okay.
And yeah, the tiredness was really interesting because I do feel tired, but it was great to focus on it, and it was like there was like an emotion behind it. It was kind of like frustration. And just like a needing to be listened to. So it was almost like that was what was tiring me out.
Nice, thank you. And interesting. That'll go back with that point of the week again. James says waves of deepening calm and safety. That is lovely. Thank you for sharing that. With the more sort of obstructed and stagnant quality, which I can go into very easily as well. I definitely found the local thing of like upper back to shoulder thing is my really obvious. And when it becomes more general, my body kind of does a general kind of like holding like that. But what I found far more obvious was going into the tiredness thing, the deficiency, and my energy does come up. And it's like my legs become really thin, spindly things. I'm really kind of off balance and sort of like this. There's loads up in the head. And yeah, and there's a certain emotional aspect that needs to ground. So Jane, that's really useful. Being post-COVID with a history of CFS, I've never really thought about how my tiredness feels so inward. And there's a possible alternative feeling of tiredness, whether that's ever true for me or not. Very interesting to be aware of. Thank you very much, Jane from Tyne Valley. And Tahira says, when working, right foot, right hip often locks, which is very painful. Only remedy I know is the clam exercise. Any more? Well, we'll try and have a little look at that. But yeah, so it is really, this is sometimes, we're not doing so much exercise in this class right now, but sometimes it's really useful to go into exploring these different levels of how we might feel more tired or more blocked and full, or where it might be having a chain reaction within us. Gillian, locating tiredness in specific place in body, very interesting and unexpected discovery.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Okay, so should we go into a bit of movement?
Yeah.
Yes. Cat's wonderful spiraling, circling hips and body parts movements. I always love that when you do that work, Cat. It's just a joy.
To unwind the hips.
I do sometimes do some of that on myself as well. So let's begin, in fact, from the ground up. So I'm going to get you to be preferably shoulder width, but you can be hip width if that feels easier for you.
It's quite useful for us on the video. We can see where our hips are.
Yeah. Just be shoulder width. So get a sense of being on your feet and bring your weight into one side and then the other, and you can rock over. And I quite like, instead of sort of coming up and then dropping the weight down, I quite like the idea of sliding the weight under the ground. It's almost like you're sinking your weight under and then finding it in the other foot. Like that. And it gives an extra quality of grounding and an extra release in the lower body as well when you give that a go. Okay, and then choose a foot to settle on and let the other one turn out. And we're just going to stretch it open a bit. So you're feeling the stretch through the toes and the underside of the foot. And then either in front of you, you can curl over the top, or if that's not so easy, hold a wall, put the foot behind you, and just feel a little bit of a stretch in the top of the foot. It doesn't have to be too strong because it can be quite strange for some people. And then we're going to do the stretching like this again in front of us. And then stretch the top of the foot either in front of you or behind you. Okay, now let's just do a few circles. So having the foot in front of you. So you're kind of fairly settled on this back foot. And then both directions. And then start to just bring a small amount of weight into the foot. Now that you've started to open it, feeling all those bones and tendons opening out. And it's like, you know you've got the kidney 1 and you know you've got liver 3. And there's loads of other points as well. But you're just kind of opening all of those channels and points and pathways, as well as between bones and tendons and muscles and all the blood and qi that flows. Allow the mind to encourage that by exploring it. Okay, there's a little shake. Plant the foot back down, come to center, and just notice the feeling between the two. Nice. Okay, now sink into that foot. The other side, we're going to stretch underneath. And then on top, either in front or behind. And then stretch underneath again, just starting to stretch open the foot. And then stretch the top. Okay, let's do some circles. Starting off nice and slow, kind of like feeling the toes all the way through to the ankles and maybe even a bit of the knee, starting to just circle and open. Really bringing your attention inside the foot. Maybe you want to make the circles a bit bigger. Bring in a little bit of weight. In the other direction. It's a really great thing to start with, and also a really great way to start the day in general. I often find it really makes me sigh. It can even get my digestive system going. Okay. Settling, noticing how that feels. Lovely. Okay, I'm going to get us to just do a little bit of basic dough in down the legs, so it goes very quickly, that connection from opening the feet into the body. So we're going to start off by, what's going to be the best way to start off? Yeah, let's start off going down the bladder, as we know, from the sacrum. You can use open hands or loose fists, whatever you prefer. Backs of the legs, outside edge of the feet to the toe, little toe. And then squeeze your kidney 1, and you're going to come up. I prefer turning my toes outwards. It's like the inside of the back of the leg. Let's do that a couple of times. Right on the back of the leg for the bladder, and then inside of the back of the leg for the kidney. One more time. And then we'll just also do the gallbladder and the liver. So gallbladder, just spend a moment around the top of your pelvis, going from the top of your sacrum round the sides to the fronts of the hips. And then you'll find that there's like a particular point that's going to be quite sore around the sort of tops of the buttocks and the hip joint. This is gallbladder 30, and a great point for releasing stagnation. Just spend half an hour there. And then down the outside edge of the leg. This is the gallbladder, the yang channel. Deals with fascia a lot and tendons. And then we're going to come up liver 3, remember that? We did. And come up to the ankle and the inside edge of the leg. So it's different to the kidney. In kidney was like the inside of the back of the leg. This is just the straight inside of the leg for liver. Outside for the gallbladder, inside for the liver. Last time. Give the legs a little shake off. Okay. Just notice how that feels. Now, hopefully we'll have got a little bit of blood and qi moving through the lower part of the body. And what time have we got to? Okay. So we're going to do the movement that I always enjoy doing, and I often get us to do for both the middle burner that governs the liver and the gallbladder, seeing as liver 3 is our point of the day. But also it's a point that you can do, it's an exercise that you can do in a way that's very nourishing for those who are more deficient, or very releasing for those who are more stagnant and want that ability to move. Now we're going to have to give each other a bit of space because we're going to be swinging our arms. So it's this one, yeah? Oh, yes. Now, what I want us to do before we start is feet really want to be shoulder width apart as much as you can. And they want to be straight forwards. And your knees want to be straight forwards. So as we twist, you don't want to be having your knees kind of turning. And you'll know that they're turning generally because your feet will feel like they're moving around. The feet want to stay really planted, almost like you've got something between your knees, and as you turn your hips, your knees don't really turn much at all. So your hips don't have to make huge movements. And so it comes more through relaxed sturdiness than through holding it with physical tension. And just small movements with the pelvis to begin with, just to get a bit of movement. And for those who are really blocked, it'll feel really annoying, and that's okay, because annoyance and frustration is part of the liver energy being stuck. It has a need to flow freely and smoothly and to express everything freely and smoothly. Okay, so from here, those who need more nourishment for their deficiency, make it more of a slow, methodical and, easing, beautiful movement, like water is gently flowing you around and back in. For those who need to move more strongly, take the hip movement to a slightly greater degree and really let the upper body loose. If you need to make sounds to really, I can feel the tension in my body is kind of saying, ow, no, ow, yes, no, ow, yes, which is really annoying, of course. So I've got both going, you see, deficiency and stagnation. So I'm going to do a bit of both. If you know you have a particular area of the body where the stagnation is localized, then you can, in a very loose way, intend your arms to kind of go there and give a gentle sort of tap. And so like I've got my hips, I'm tapping at the moment. I could make it more my ribs, like this, or I could aim for the shoulder. Like I said, I've got that shoulder upper back thing. So still being really loose, you're just giving it a little bit of an aim as to where you're going to allow the hand to kind of tap.
Lower back as well.
Yeah.
Just about.
You could do lower back. You could even, if you really want to kind of like, I've got my sort of front of the thighs really needs to. You can, move the body about a bit to kind of play. And for those who are more in the tired, deficient camp, I really want to encourage this sense of really get into that feeling of pushing into the ground, opening the body, settling into the ground and feeling held. So carry on. If you're in the camp of strong movement, carry on with the strong movements. If you're in the more of the deficient camp, then really getting into this nice, easy, slow movement. And it's almost like you are opening and then drawing Qi in and nourishing yourself with it. And it doesn't have to be nourishing in a food type way, but nourishing is in feeling the body taking it in. And it's okay as well to feel some discomfort with it, even if you're moving slowly, because that's part of the body trying to free up and open up and shift about and move about. Because even if we are deficient, sometimes deficiency and stagnation cross over. Okay, I'm just going to do another brief moment. So if you're going really slowly or if you're going quickly, notice how the body feels as it turns. Where is starting to relax and open? Where is starting to feel more nourished or more full or more stabilized? Put it in that term. Okay, and now let's just start making it more of a natural movement without too much intention, and then letting it come to a natural close. And notice how much the body wants to carry on moving and how much that gets smaller and smaller. There's still a little bit of the movement inside until it's really small, almost imperceptible, but it's deep in there. Until it's so small, you can just let go of it and be in a place of stillness inside. Spacious stillness. Okay, lovely. Maybe step out a little bit, open up the arms. What time have we got? Excellent. We've got just enough time to explore the lever 3 point with some of its actions. So Tahira, we haven't gone into too much of the pelvic movements, but if you find reaching down to hold a point in your feet locks your hip or pelvis up, I would suggest doing some, as Kat said, some pelvic circles or some gentle hip movements, of which just literally standing, doing some, circles with the pelvis in both directions. What I tend to do is do some, with my feet facing forwards, I'll do some circles, and then I'll turn my feet outwards and carry on doing hip circles. So you'll find that it affects the joint and tendons and muscles in a different way as you circle, when you change the angle of the feet. There's so many other things going on. Jane says, with deficiency and stagnation going on, it's really weird, but good feeling, nurtured with the gentle movement, and annoyed and the other things at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's the thing, is we need to allow for both, because they can happen and can end up, one can end up creating the other. So if we look at what it offers us, it spreads the liver qi. And to give a brief explanation, we've said before, why we do the 3 burners is the kidney on the bottom in the lower burner brings in our initial quality of qi in life, ancestral qi from our parents and from our ancestral line. And we've then got being nourished in the middle burner, which comes initially, of course, from our parents, from our mother. And then later, when we are born, it comes from the earth and the food that we eat. So Mother Earth. And then later, we've got the inspiration and therefore breath coming into the upper with our lung. And that is from the heavens qi around us. And that is breath which comes in, that brings qi in, and that governs most of the sort of inner goings on of qi coming into our body. But we're left with this other organ, this other yin quality within us, which is the liver, and that doesn't have a sense of bringing qi into the body. But what is most important is that it is about keeping things moving. And we're not brought up in the West thinking that movement is as important as breathing or eating or having a connection with people. So it's like these are prime importances for the body and for life, is connection with people. That's our initial one, because we've got ancestral qi within us. We've got eating and breathing, because that's the other way that we bring life and energy into our body. And then we've got moving. And it's not just doing sports and doing yoga. Oh, that's healthy. That'll keep the body healthy. It's literally moving for the sake of moving. And so it needs to move. The liver needs to move. And it spreads the qi around our body. And it also releases blood around the body. So when it's needed, and then it draws it back in when it's not needed so much. It's this wonderful, lovely, beautiful cycle of movement around the body. It can be helpful for headaches, for pain in the sides of the body, because it governs the sides of the body, especially around the rib cage or around the hips, and sometimes also around the shoulders. And especially it governs the sinews of the body, so tendons and things. And like we'd said, you can feel a bit annoyed, and that comes from often the anger, frustration, or sudden emotional reaction, which is more of the emotional level. And on a much subtler level, it's not being certain of where we are in life. It's like this thing of direction. Okay. Let's get into the point. What I would like you to do is, when we get into this point, is to notice in yourself, I'm getting the chair again so we can just have a little bit of a sense of, you can see that I'm holding my foot. What I'd like us to do this time, now that we've moved a bit of qi around and we've got a bit of this sense, is when you contact this point, so find your liver 3 point, bones connect, come here. As you sink in, are you finding it is purely local in the foot?
Oh, full screen again.
Oh yes, sorry, of course, we're still on the slide.
Should I click on? Is it just
No,
there?
you click on the red square.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Fantastic. Thank you, Claire. Thank you very much for saying that, Jen. I always forget this. I leave the slides up. Okay, so we find your liver through point where the bones meet, then come back down a tiny bit. That soft spot. Okay, now whatever is there is okay. Maybe you just feel a bit of pain, and so there's the clearing of the obstruction in the channel. Maybe it feels like it's more nourishing, in which case it's nourishing the blood. And you know that feeling we got into with the deficiency where we felt a bit dry and sort of lacking inside? That's the blood needing to be replenished and nourished. So this can nourish the blood. Maybe we felt a bit stuck. That's the Qi not flowing smoothly. So I want you to notice what comes up as you hold this point. Is it more nourishing, more freeing, more opening the channel or a part of the leg? Are you noticing a part of the body open up? Or is there more of a subtler emotional, psychological level being affected? Okay. So as I hold this, what I'm noticing is I'm becoming a little bit more aware of my hip, with a couple of spaces within the body physically. And then alongside that, just a little bit of an emotional softening. So that's what I'm getting. Okay, it's very yummy. So I'm interested to see what you get. But before we respond, let's try the other foot as well, because sometimes it's different one side to the other. Okay, so let's just find that point. Run up from the toes where they meet to the bones where they meet. Come down just about a finger's width. Find that soft point. Okay, it's more sore on this side. Now notice, is it more local? Is it more leg, channel, another area of the body? Is it more having a general effect? And is that more nourishing, more releasing? Do you notice your attention or your energy shift in a certain way or direction? Or is it more emotional, psychological? Okay, that's very interesting. So on this side, just to share again, I noticed the channel through into the body and certain levels in the body. And I have a certain amount of holding at the moment that's very much to do with the liver and gallbladder that is covering a very emotional quality. And it's almost like I wanted to just go, and if I had the space by myself, I'd probably just go into a very emotional place where I just needed to let go a bit. Also, just to drop in, it can really help with sleep. So, anything you noticed from the points?
Yeah, thanks. It was interestingly, the point was much easier to press, having done the exercise, the swinging the arms exercise. Because before it was very taut, and it's like, oh, I don't want you to get in here. But now, yeah, it was a bit more painful, but yeah, just felt really like releasing, and I had this feeling of myself like dance, like sort of, woo. So need to do more of that.
Brilliant, fantastic. And we've got a couple of people so Simonetta, lovely to see you, Simonetta. For me, it's very nourishing and calming, and it goes directly to the heart. Yes, it can have a wonderful connection with the heart. So James says tingly head now too, and the sides. Fantastic, interesting, because it does govern the sides of the body. Titus, it settled my middle burner and opened my heart. How beautiful. Thanks so very much for sharing, everyone. let's finish off. I forgot to do my usual opening thing. So let's just finish off with the usual closing thing, which is if you have a moment to just close your eyes. So no typing for a moment. I'm just going to close our eyes and just imagine ourselves in a circle of people, lovely big circle of people. And that is everyone in the class at the moment who is experiencing it live as well as joining later to watch on replay. Making the group what it is, making the energy of this class what it is, and a moment of thanks for every one of you being here. So if we can all just have a moment of thanks for each of us being here, and a moment of thanks for this class being here. It is such a wonderful thing. Thank you very much, everyone. Feel free to open your eyes. If you want to leave a heart in the chat, I'm going to. Have yourself a wonderful week. And thank you, Kat, for being on the chat. Thanks, everyone, for interacting so much. Thank you so much, Claire, for coming along. It was lovely having you in the room.
Thank you.
It was kind of wonderful. I haven't done this with another person. It feels very different. Okay.
Nice, lots of hearts.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic, everyone. Have a great week. We've got to go. Lots and lots of love.
Bye.